Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. With I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad, back with you. Better Off Dead. Friday, October 24th. We're on a hot streak right now, man. The streak continues. 3-0-1 last night. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good night. Indiana Pacers could have had an outright win in that game. I mean, they took the game to overtime. They had the lead late in the game, wound up going double overtime, and then all of a sudden they're down 6, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, they might not even cover. Even though at the plus 7.5, as I point out, 7 is the key number in the NBA. So that's the point where a team's going to stop intentionally fouling. But if they're down 6, they might intentionally foul one more time. We got it, though. We got it, man. They alternated being behind 6 and 4 a couple of times. I think that was it. Oklahoma City finally Indiana decided to not foul anymore. Oklahoma City finished it off. Cover for Indiana, but no outright win there. They could have had the win outright, man. But that was the right call in Indiana. Anaheim Ducks beat my atrocious Boston Bruins, so we got that win as well. It was back and forth. Anaheim did push out to a 5-3 lead late in the game. I'm like, all right, that's going to be it. It's over. And the Bruins were like, nah, let's just tie it. Let's score 2 goals. I'm like, it's so insane, dude. Bruins, with their propensity to score 2 goals to tie the game in the third period and then lose anyway. And that is what happened as Anaheim scored twice. I didn't even see what happened at the very end. Maybe there was an empty net. I don't know. But they wound up winning 7-5. Both teams wound up with their second-string goalie playing in that game, by the way. So an over probably made sense in that game, too. I mean, that was atrocious defense. It was not very good goaltending on either side. 2 backup goalies. Ridiculous. We had a push on the Philadelphia Flyers because I gave it out as a basically make-your-own +1 puck line on it with part of the bet on the +1.5, part of the bet on the money line. They lost by 1. They lost 2-1. So that was a push on the Flyers. It was a tied game. I mean, they had chances where they potentially could have won the game. So I think it was probably the correct handicap as well. And so was the LA Chargers with a ridiculously easy win against the Vikings last night. Basically never in doubt. They were out to a 14-0 lead. Never looked back. The closest that it got after that, I think was 14-3 maybe. I think that was the closest it was at any point. Besides that, that was it. Pretty easy win for the Chargers. I'm a little bit pissed because, the way that fantasy worked out was I put in a waiver wire claim on Gadsden, their tight end, the Chargers tight end. Somebody overpaid for him, so I didn't wind up getting him, which I wanted to buy fill-in tight end because I have Laporta. So I didn't get him. I could have had him this week. I did play the Chargers defense in fantasy, which worked out pretty well. So they only allowed 10 points, and they had one takeaway, I think. So they got me a good amount of points. But my opponent has Dicker the kicker, and he was looking like he was probably going to get about 7 points in the game. And then it was just like, nah, let's just keep kicking late field goals, including a completely unnecessary one at the end for the Chargers. Like, you got to be kidding me, man. So my opponent's kicker winds up with like 14 points. Like, oh, give me a break, man. But yeah, the Chargers, they got the win there. I'm 6-1 in my main fantasy league, so I guess I shouldn't complain too much if I lose a week, but still, I don't want to lose ever. I'm too competitive about it. And I'm still winning right now, but I might not win. I'm just pissed. Like, my opponent gets a really good performance out of their kicker, and kickers are somewhat luck, so I don't know. We'll see. And I'm rolling Badgley out there this week for my kicker, most likely, which is the Colts kicker. At least they have a good offense, so they'll probably be in scoring range. Jeffrey, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, Mr. Thursday night. 8-0 with the Thursday night games, although I was wishy-washy on last week's Steelers versus the Bengals, although I wound up picking the Bengals in Pick'em, so my final choice on that one was still correct. But yeah, my Thursday night NFL, I've only given out 2 plays on it, but I'm 8-0 in those spreads. They almost covered the minus 27.5. Yeah, it's 17-1. That's true. They won by 24. Yeah, that would have been absolutely ridiculous if that happened. Today, I'm going to have all NBA plays today. I like a lot of the NBA board, to be honest, man. We have a few NHL games. Don't love that. And we do have college football. I got one pretty strong lean in college football that I haven't made it a play, though. I don't think I can quite get there with it. But one opinion on college football, pretty strong. NBA, I like a bunch of the games, and I like more than what I'm going to give out as plays, so I'm going to talk about some leans. We'll talk about NHL first, though. NHL, we only have 4 games here. Toronto at Buffalo. Interesting matchup. I think it might be a decent spot for Toronto to bounce back. They've lost 2 games in a row. They did play their last game against New Jersey, though, which is, that's a big game. New Jersey, they're off to a good start. They're a good team, but still, you lose back-to-back games. You lose 5-2 to New Jersey. You might want to try to bounce back from that. They've had 2 days off now, and they get to go out on the road. So for Toronto, they get to just leave home, just kind of forget about what's going on at home right now, maybe just focus on hockey. They get to face this inferior Buffalo team who probably isn't even as good as their record might make it look right now. Buffalo, I still don't think they're very good. And Buffalo staying at home, and they're coming off a big win themselves against Detroit, who is off to a good start. Buffalo did get that win despite having Ellis as their goalie, though. So that was the first time they used their second-string goalie. So they will have their top goalie back in net, Lyon, although I don't think he's really that good. Or Leon, I don't know how you pronounce his name. But to me, I think Toronto might be the lean in this game, though. I think you have the better team in a bounce-back spot where I think they'll actually be focused up against a team that's going to have to continue playing like above their pay grade for a couple games in a row. Slight lean to Toronto in that one. The money is agreeing with it as well, except that the money line dropped from minus 126 to minus 121. 55% of tickets, 77% of the cash on Toronto, though. So it looks like they are picking up more of the bigger bets, at least right now. San Jose actually got a win last night against the Rangers. After San Jose was up 3-1, and then they immediately blew that lead. They were down 4-3. I'm like, they're still going to lose this game like 6-3. No, they won 6-5. Man, there's something not right with the Rangers, man. But that means San Jose is on a back-to-back, coming off a gigantic upset. So I don't really think that there's a way that you could play San Jose here. Like, I'd be looking to fade San Jose after pulling off an upset like that. They're playing a 3rd game in 4 days now. Not really technically in different city. Well, actually, yeah, I guess technically in different cities. Well, no, because the Islanders play in New York City now, I guess. But they played 2 games in different boroughs of New York, and now they go to New Jersey. It's not a lot of travel, but it is still 3 games in 4 days, all in different stadiums, in a letdown spot. I mean, New Jersey's still a team you're going to get up for, but this San Jose team is so bad that I don't know if they can continue that effort multiple games in a row. Although I will say, when you get your first win, you do get that monkey off your back, and sometimes you can just play looser because now you don't have to worry about, oh, we're a winless team and we got to win. New Jersey's won 6 games in a row. Not really looking to play New Jersey either here. I mean, they just had a couple of big wins again. They beat Florida, Edmonton, Toronto, Minnesota. Coming off that stretch, Minnesota not really that good, but the rest of those teams are good. Staying at home, and they do have Colorado up next, which is a big game. Colorado, one of the better teams in hockey. So it almost looks sandwich-ish on the part of New Jersey. New Jersey's a huge favorite, up from minus 330 to minus 345. 82% of tickets, 99% of the cash coming in under New Jersey. I don't want any part of either of these teams, man. I mean, I think if New Jersey's going to come out and just not have that much focus, San Jose might be in a total fatigue spot. I mean, it would have been one of those spots where last year I would have been saying you might want to look towards an over in this game, although the total did drop a little bit from 6.5 to 6. But, I mean, that might be the way that I would actually look at that game. I don't know. I do not want anything to do with it, though. Yeah, the Sharks. I mean, I did not expect them to win. I think that was a real outlier of a game. I don't know, man. I mean, I would not have had money on that. I thought that the Rangers were going to win that game. Washington at Columbus. Washington, they're coming off a fairly easy win over Seattle. A couple days off. They get to go out to Columbus. It's not the start of a road trip, though. It's only a single game road journey here to Columbus. So sometimes that means there's going to be a little bit less focus. Like when you start a road trip, you usually are focused to start the road trip right. In this case, maybe they won't just because it's a weird single game travel spot. Although they do have probably a little bit of momentum right now after an easy win over Seattle. Columbus is almost certainly in a letdown spot, though, coming off beating Tampa Bay and Dallas, returning home from that. They have a couple of days off, too. I don't think they're going to overlook Washington because Washington is a good team, but this Columbus team, I mean, can they keep up that level of effort multiple games in a row? I don't know. Slightly into Washington for me in this one. You're getting a really cheap price on it, though. It almost looks too easy to take Washington, so I do have some concerns about it, and they are public. 91% of the tickets, 98% of the cash, though, on Washington. My opinion would still be Washington in this one just because I don't want any part of Columbus after they beat Dallas, but again, Washington's a very public side that almost looks way too easy, so I can't do it. And then I think perhaps the strongest opinion, or the only real opinion that I would really have in the on the hockey board would be to look towards taking Calgary as an underdog against Winnipeg. I think this might be a spot where Calgary might actually be able to get a win. Winnipeg off to a 5-2 start. They're good. They're playing on a back-to-back, though. They're not traveling. They're staying at home. They did get shut out yesterday. So sometimes when a team gets shut out, they will be pissed, and they want to come back and play better here. But on a back-to-back, they might not have Hellebuck in net for this one, man. They might be going with Comrie, even though they did win their other game where they played him. But Hellebuck is like the best goalie in the league, so it's always a downgrade when they have to switch to their backup goalie, which I think they might do here because they might not pay that much attention to Calgary, even though, again, yeah, they are coming off a shutout loss, but they already beat Calgary on the road the game before that, 2-1, so it is going to be a road revenge spot for Calgary. I always point that out. When a team lost to a team at home and then they go out on the road almost immediately and play that same team with a chance at quick revenge, that is a bit of a motivator. So I think Calgary is going to be motivated for that reason, in addition to the fact that Winnipeg's a good team. Winnipeg does have Utah up next, and Utah is off to a really good start, so they might have a little bit more focus on that game. Could potentially be a look ahead. So I don't see full focus here from Winnipeg, to be honest. Calgary off to an awful 1-6-1 start. Going out on the road for one game here maybe is good for them because they just lost 2 games at home. They played competitively, though. They lost 2-1 in both games, including going into overtime against Montreal. But they've used Wolf 3 straight days, so I don't know if they're going to use him again this time. But they at least get to get out of home and just go on the road. They certainly will be focused on Winnipeg. I think it's just a matter of how tired are they going to be coming into this game after a couple of big games for them, big performances where they fell short. So I don't want to do it, but I would lean to Calgary in this game. Winnipeg's very public, 93% of the tickets, although this says 98% of the cash. I'm not sure that that's accurate. They've dropped a little bit from minus 148 to minus 145. The line is not that heavy on Winnipeg. You would think with a team like Calgary that's not that good, that like Calgary's been getting lined as a huge underdog in a lot of games. Winnipeg, not lined as a very heavy favorite. Odds makers kind of telling you something with that, almost kind of indicating that this game is actually winnable for Calgary. And you still get them at an underdog price, so that is the way that I would look in that game. Won't give it out as a play, though. We got NBA here. The NBA is going to be the best bet segment for today. I didn't put up the breakdown graphic, but the NBA breakdown will just be a best bet segment. Winnipeg minus 160 on FanDuel. I mean, I think, you'll probably just get that means you're just going to get a better underdog price on Calgary if you want it. NBA, we got a bunch of games here. I got some opinions. Obviously, I always have opinions, but I also have some actual plays that I think are pretty strong. Bucks Raptors. I'll point out it just looks strange to see the Raptors as a favorite against the Bucks because everybody just has seen what we've seen in recent years. The Raptors have been one of the worst teams in the NBA. Bucks have been, of course, a playoff team. I think they still have Giannis, although there was some weird off-season shit there. The money is indeed coming in on the Raptors. They flipped from a 1.5 dog to a 1.5 point favorite. 66% of tickets, 96% of the cash on the Raptors. So the money indicator, the market indicators are on the Raptors in this one. I don't think I could really get there with it, but it's interesting that a team that people basically consider to be a terrible team in the Raptors is favored over this team that everybody considers to be a better team. Giannis is day-to-day, so you got to keep an eye on that because he's obviously the biggest component for Milwaukee, although I think if he wasn't playing, this line might be a little bit even more in favor of the Raptors. Kevin Porter Jr. is also out. He is one of the better players from Milwaukee as well. So Milwaukee does have a couple of injury concerns. Milwaukee did win their first game pretty easily against a terrible Washington team. So there's not much you could take away from that. I mean, they were expected to win. They won. This is going to be their first road game of the season. They have to go up to Toronto. Not that easy to do. Toronto had a shocking win, actually. An upset 20-point win over Atlanta in their first game on the road. So I don't really want to jump on Toronto either here, although I assume they will be focused. I mean, you got the Bucks coming into your place. You will be focused, but this game was a bit misleading, in my opinion. Atlanta was a 5.5 point favorite. Toronto, obviously, is not the better of these two teams. Toronto had a really good shooting performance, at least from the floor, 56.8% from the field. So there's going to be some regression in store for Toronto here. So that's another reason I don't want to make Toronto a play here. That and the situation doesn't really line up necessarily in favor of them because they are kind of in a letdown spot in a way. Although, again, they'll still probably show up for Milwaukee. Atlanta had a particularly bad shooting game, 28.6% from three, although Toronto was even worse from three. But Atlanta was only 42.2% from the floor, too. So Toronto completely dominated the rebound statistic, though, 20 rebounds, plus 20 in the rebound edge, which is interesting. So it wasn't entirely misleading, although the shooting aspect of it still, I think you're going to see some regression back to some sort of mean there. So, yeah, I mean, Toronto, I would still lean to Toronto in that one just because the line looks so weird, but I wouldn't want to do it. Atlanta at Orlando is a pretty good game. Atlanta, they're better than they looked in that first game. I think you might see Atlanta be a bit pissed after that, as they're calling it an embarrassing loss themselves. So that tells you that the Hawks are probably going to be focused after that. Bad way to start the season, man. Oh, by the way, Toronto, that is their home opener for them in the Toronto game, by the way. So something to consider. Usually a team is a little bit more focused in their home opener. Atlanta coming off that awful home opener. They get to go down to Orlando. You know they're going to be focused for Orlando because Orlando's a team that's kind of on the upswing. But Orlando had a close game in their game against Miami, which I think they should have probably won that game more easily. Miami, not a great team. Orlando is the better of these two teams. Orlando did not cover the spread in that one. Not a whole lot to see as far as like the shooting percentages here, though. I mean, Orlando was the better three-point shooting team of the game. They still almost lost the game, but it was a close game statistically, so it wasn't a real outlier or anything like that. The money's coming in towards the Atlanta Hawks in this one, though. Orlando down from 5.5 to 4.5, 78% of tickets, only 65% of the cash. Not going to be a play for me, but I'm not going to disagree with the market read in that one. I think the Hawks, you're going to get like a lot of focus out of them after how bad they looked in that first game. So I do think that's kind of the bigger outlier that happened, even though Orlando did have a game that was a little bit close for comfort, but they still beat the Heat. I mean, that's still a big win for Orlando. I mean, there's always the thing between the Magic and the Heat because they're sort of like they're the Florida rivals, sort of. So I agree with the market read in that one. I would lean to the Hawks plus the points. I think Cleveland is in a bad spot as well, even though they lost their first game. So I don't know that they're going to be entirely unfocused here, but this spot doesn't look good to me for Cleveland. They just lost to the Knicks, which was a big game to start the season, man, between two contenders. They're going to both be playoff teams again, most likely. I thought Cleveland would get that game, and Cleveland did not win. The Knicks were able to get the win there against Cleveland. Cleveland now has to go to Brooklyn. It's not much travel, just staying within New York City. But this Brooklyn team, I mean, they're a team that teams are going to overlook them, man. Brooklyn's one of the worst teams in the league. I don't think they did that much over the offseason. I mean, the fact that they brought over a couple of Israeli dudes or whatever, which only makes sense for Brooklyn, I guess. Even though the biggest Israeli ownership is the Dallas Mavericks, with Miriam Adelson, whatever, who's one of the most evil people on earth. But let's not get my channel nuked here. Cleveland, yeah, I mean, it is possible they overlook Brooklyn. I mean, I think teams are just going to overlook Brooklyn again because they're not a good team. And Cleveland does have Milwaukee coming up after this on Sunday. That's a big game because it is still Giannis. It is still a team that's basically in the playoffs every year in Milwaukee. So it looks like a bit of a sandwich spot to me for Cleveland. They're laying a big number here, so obviously they can win this game without covering. They're down from 12 to 11.5 here on the number. 57% of tickets on the Cavs, 91% of the cash, though, on the Nets. I agree with that market read as well. I would take the points with the Nets if I was going to play this game. I think the spot makes sense to take the Nets in that one. Actually, probably one of the stronger opinions in basketball. That's one of the ones that didn't make my card that was like pretty close to making my card. I'm going to have a play on my Celtics against the Knicks in that game. I'm going to have a play. I'm going to have a play in Detroit-Houston as well. I don't necessarily want to talk about every one of these games, but I just have opinions on a lot of these. You're betting the Nets. I don't mind it. I mean, yeah, I would say, yeah, do it on the spread. But whenever you take a spread bet like that, I do recommend putting a very small amount on the money line too, just in case it happens. Like in a huge number, like a huge underdog like that, I would probably say somewhere between 1% and 3% of the bet on the money line. I don't really think the Nets are going to win that game outright, though. So I do think they'll cover, though. Miami at Memphis. Interesting game as well. I mean, this is a pretty decent matchup. I mean, these are two decent teams. Memphis got out of there with a win in their first game. I thought the Pelicans were actually undervalued in that one, that they were going to cover. Memphis did cover, barely. They were a 4.5-point favorite. They covered by 1.5 points. They're staying at home. Likely they're going to be focused against Miami. And Memphis kind of had a game that maybe they considered to be a little bit of an underperformance against the Pelicans there, because a lot of people, I think, thought Memphis was going to just blow out the Pelicans, which is why I thought the Pelicans would cover, because the Pelicans just had a really injury-riddled season last year. So I think the Pelicans are a lot better than they looked last year. But Memphis might consider that to be kind of an escape, whereas Miami played a tough game against Orlando, and now it's a second game on the road for Miami. So I think this game sets up a little bit better for the Grizzlies, to be honest, but I think the money is completely disagreeing with that. Yeah, the Grizzlies are down from 4 to 2.5 here. 60% of tickets, 83% of the cash coming in on the Heat. So the money is definitely pretty strongly indicating on the Heat. And if you like the Heat, you lost a little bit of the value on it too. I have a slight disagreement with it. Heat, you got to also talk about, they got some issues, man. Hero is injured, so there's going to be no Hero there. The Memphis has some injury problems too. most notably, John Morant is game time decision. He's day to day, so you got to pay attention to that because obviously he's a key part of the Memphis of Memphis's team there. So you got to keep that in mind there. So I mean, this is a game where it's going to be a little bit difficult to handicap too because there are a lot of moving parts. Of course, Miami is going to be without Terry Rozier because he's probably in jail because of the gambling scandal that came out involving Rozier and Chauncey Billups, who, by the way, one of the worst things that the Celtics ever did was trade Chauncey Billups after they only had him for they drafted him. If people don't remember that, they drafted Chauncey Billups. Would have been an amazing draft pick for the Celtics when the Celtics were struggling in the 90s. He played 8 games for them, and Rick Pitino took over the team as both the coach and the general manager or whatever. He basically pushed Red Auerbach to the side, and Pitino was like, no, we're going to trade Chauncey Billups for basically nobody. One of the worst decisions in Celtic history. Unbelievable. So bad. I'm still pissed about that. I still hate Pitino because of that. Man. Yeah, I mean, and speaking of Pitino, Terry Rozier was one of his guys at Louisville, I believe. So involved in that whole Louisville thing where Rick Pitino was before the NIL stuff was a thing. Rick Pitino was bribing Louisville basketball recruits with hookers and strippers and stuff and probably money under the table and whatever. So a lot of weird tie-ins here, but Rozier, yeah, I mean, he's in trouble for rigging basketball games, which you could tell he was rigging his own props, basically. You could tell by him just refusing to put an effort on some plays. I think it's bad. I don't think it's worthy of a jail sentence. I mean, I think it's worthy of him probably being kicked out of the NBA. But I don't think it's worthy of a jail sentence. I mean, I think that's just ridiculous. It's still basically just insider trading. I mean, he didn't actually hurt anybody. I mean, he made the NBA worse than it is, even though I don't even like the NBA. I like the fact that that it's my best betting sport, and I'm really good at betting the NBA. I don't even like watching the NBA, though. I think it's just bad at this point. It used to be really fun to watch in the 90s. Not anymore. Baseball was a lot more fun, too, in the steroid era. But I'm going on a rant here. But, yeah, Rozier, he was rigging games. There was also something going on. I don't know if Rozier was involved in it. I think he might have been. Rozier and Billups, I think, might both have been involved in cheating at poker as well. They had, a certain poker room or something where they set it up such that there was the ability for certain players to read opponents' cards. They had, I don't know, either cameras set up or some way of seeing through the cards to see what their opponent's cards were. So they're in trouble for that too, which, I mean, that I actually see as that's worse than Rozier tanking in NBA games, because that's actually theft. You know what I mean? If you have a player that's tanking in the NBA, you can easily correct that by not allowing him to play, right? The team could kick him off the team. The league could kick him out, whatever. That's all cool. The poker stuff, I think, is worse because you're basically defrauding you're defrauding your poker opponents. So that's actually worse. It's pretty crazy, man. Yeah. And there were mob tie-ins. Yeah. It's all crazy, dude. I haven't mentioned it on the show yet. I think this stuff came out 2 days ago. I kind of think it's funny though. The mob are there to show more legitimacy. Yeah. If you see a mob boss in there, that doesn't seem wrong in any way. Although Vegas is basically a mob city, though, man. I don't know if that poker room was in Vegas or not, but everybody knows the mob has all these tie-ins with Vegas, so it's it's not really that weird of a thing. But also, then again, if you're going to these poker rooms, well, I mean, I guess. I don't know, man. I mean, there are certain risks that you're taking, although when you go to the room, you are they are still claiming you still should be on the up and up, and you shouldn't be defrauding your opponents, though. So even though, yes, there are certain risks that you assume when you go to a poker room or whatever, but it should just be the normal risks. Obviously the luck involved in the game is the risks that you should be taking. Yeah, I don't know. You hate props. I like props, kind of, but I just don't do props. But there's a lot of money to be made on props, especially in these daily games, day to day, because I mean, there's more focus on props now than there were before, but the books, they just can't get all those numbers right because there are just too many numbers to put up there. So the books are really just throwing numbers up there on a lot of props based on like league averages. So there are guys that really, really hammer the props and they can do really well at the props. So I will point that out. Like Andy Lang at Wager Talk, he is an extreme prop bettor. He bets mostly props, and he does all the sports where you can find more value if you actually like know what you're doing. He does like darts and golf and shit. So yeah, I don't know. Nets are plus 460. You're gonna bet on the money line there too. An NBA, an NBA player sitting there. Yeah, of course that means there's no cheating. NBA players don't cheat. What? Anyway, to me, I mean, I don't see it for Miami in this game, but the money is coming in on the Miami side. But I also think the Rozier thing might even be a distraction here. So, yeah, I mean, the market is saying Miami in this one plus the points. Maybe this means that Morant is not going to play. I'm not really sure. That game's a really hard read for me, man. But I would have a slight lean to Memphis, to be honest. San Antonio, you couldn't possibly look better than San Antonio did in their first game. Wemba had a huge game. He's already shooting up in the MVP voting. He's not shooting up drugs, although maybe he is because of his health problems. Huge win for San Antonio, dude. You go into Dallas as an underdog, and you go in and you absolutely embarrass them in their home opener. In their first game with Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg had no points in the first half. Wemba had an amazing game in that game. Now they're playing a second straight road game coming off of that. This has to be a letdown spot for San Antonio. I mean, again, you couldn't possibly look better than this. And the league is now on alert. But look at how San Antonio shot in this game. 57.5% from the field and 40% from three. You're not going to get a better shooting performance than that. There's got to be some regression in store for San Antonio. Dallas had a very bad shooting game. 37.3% from the field. Atrocious. I mean, that's probably not going to happen again either, especially because Dallas has a decent amount of big men. So they take more high percentage shots. So crazy. I mean, Wemba must have been out there just playing crazy defense too. I don't know. I didn't really see it. San Antonio also dominated the rebound department, which, I mean, Wemba is good at that too. I mean, he's a freak. He's a freak of nature, dude. What is he? He's like 7'2". I should put my Wemba jersey on. I'll have it on one of my shows. I should have put a jersey on for one of the teams that I'm actually playing today. That's what I should do in the NBA. But yeah, San Antonio, I mean, again, this is like the best that they've looked in years in this game, and it was against one of their rivals in the state of Texas. Yeah, it's got to be a letdown spot for San Antonio here. So I do like New Orleans in this one. This was close to being a play for me as well. San Antonio doesn't have anything up next, although it is going to be their home opener next against Brooklyn. But it is Brooklyn. I mean, it's not really a team that draws your focus, like I already said. New Orleans, they're coming off a pretty close game as well, though, against Memphis on the road. And they do have Boston next. So, I don't know. The spot maybe a little bit iffy for New Orleans, although Boston, not as good as they usually are right now because they have so many injuries and they lost some of their players from last year, whatever. I don't know, man. I mean, it is still their home opener, so New Orleans still should be focused here. I have some reservations about it, but I do think New Orleans is the right side. The money has actually come in on the Spurs, though. They're up from 3 to 4. I don't agree with that. 87% of the tickets, so they are public. 92% of the cash. It looks like they are getting more of the cash here. Maybe it's a false move just to get more money on the Pelicans. You won't really know until later in the day if some of these moves are fake or not. But if I was going to play that game, obviously I would take the points with the Pelicans. I think, again, it's a spot where it's like the Marco D'Angelo at Wager Talk calls it fat and sassy when a team's coming off just such a huge win by such a ridiculous margin like that, like San Antonio. Basically, they come into that next game overconfident, feeling too good about themselves. So I think that's the spot that San Antonio's in. Yeah, after you win as a dog. They're only a 2.5-point underdog, though. So the odds makers are showing San Antonio respect in the odds here, man, because that's how good Wemba is. It's the Wemba effect that just him alone makes San Antonio way, way better. And they do have some other good players. They still have Chris Paul, too, even though he's really old. San Antonio does have some players besides Wemba. But I told you, I leaned to San Antonio in that first game because I thought Dallas, with like Cooper Flagg, it being his first game, they actually started him at point guard. So Dallas doesn't really have a point guard right now. Very strange. So I liked San Antonio in that one, but I certainly didn't expect them to win by 30 whatever points. Dallas, for that reason, by the way, I expect them to smoke Washington here. I know Washington is already off a double-digit loss, but Washington is one of the worst teams in the NBA. Dallas, they got embarrassed in their home opener. I expect Dallas to come out pissed here. Don't really have a whole lot else to say about that, but I would lay the points with Dallas if I was going to play this game. 86% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Dallas. You also got to expect that they're going to shoot better than 37% from the field. I mean, that is an outlier for sure. They actually dropped a little bit from 11 to 10 on the line here. They're public, but more of the money on them as well. So I would lay the points with Dallas if I was going to play that game. Minnesota and LA, Golden State and Portland, I'm going to have plays in those games, which I'll give out in a second. Utah, I kind of expect to be in a bit of a letdown spot because they just absolutely demolished the Clippers as 10.5-point underdogs. Utah, they're not good, dude. And their high draft pick, Ace Bailey, didn't play that much in that game, so he didn't really do anything. Even though I like Ace Bailey, I want to see him do well. I think he's really, really talented. But Utah, yeah, they showed up in their home openers, 10.5-point underdogs, and they beat the Clippers by 21 points. This is a Clipper team that they just have weird results, man. This Clipper team, they're the most like up and down team in the NBA, dude. They're so inconsistent. It's crazy. Obviously they're better than this result was, but the Clippers, yeah, they'll have games like this where they just inexplicably lose horribly to bad teams, and they'll have other games where they just blow out good teams. It's crazy. Utah shot really high from the floor, 55.2% from the field. They did win the rebound battle as well, but this shooting percentage was a bit of an outlier for Utah. Utah, by the way, with the whitest lineup in the NBA with the Markkanen, Filipowski, Kessler, Mikhailiuk. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but 4 of their starters are white guys. Utah, they're looking very Mormon out there in Utah. They do have to go on the road to Sacramento. Not an easy thing, although maybe Utah will still be focused because it is a team that is usually kind of in the playoff mix with Sacramento, although they're coming off such a ridiculous upset win, though. You got to think Utah's in a bit of a letdown. Sacramento did lose their first game against Phoenix, although it was a close game, but we know Phoenix doesn't have Kevin Durant anymore, although I don't know how good Durant really is at this point. And Sacramento, this is their home opener. So the spot does make more sense for the Kings in this one if you're looking towards this. The Kings are getting the money. They're up from 4.5 to 5, 82% of the cash on them. 50% of the tickets evenly split. So all of a sudden the public, they see one good game from the Jazz and they want to start taking the points with the Jazz. I wouldn't agree with it. I would lay the points with the Kings if I was going to play this game. This one is not on my card, but it looks like a pretty major letdown spot for the Jazz. I don't think they have a big game up next or anything. Let me see. The spots that I'm going to play, I think, are a little bit stronger than this. Well, the Jazz, they have Phoenix up next, but I think Phoenix is pretty much an unknown right now. Like, they're a team that's been in the playoffs the last couple of years. They don't have Durant anymore. How good is Phoenix right now? I honestly have no idea. And Phoenix is playing against that Clipper team that got totally embarrassed. And this is going to be the Clipper home opener here. Whereas Phoenix is coming off that home win against the Kings, a decent win. So this game, I think you got to look to the Clippers. Phoenix getting a lot of disrespect in the market. Clippers are up from 9.5 to 10. 66% of the tickets on the Clippers. The public still is laying the points with the Clippers despite a 21-point loss in their opener. 79% of the cash on the Suns, though. I don't see it. I wouldn't agree with that one. I would lay the points with the Clippers if I was going to get involved in this game, but it's going against the market read, at least for now. I'm not going to, I think there are better games, and I'm going to talk about them pretty much right now. Anna, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. 227.5. No, that's not a very high total in the NBA. The numbers are always basically between the 210s and the 230s. I I mean, you can see all the numbers here on the totals. The highest total today is, I don't know, Hawks Magic is at 235. That's one of the highest. 227 is like right in the middle. The lowest total today is, where's the lowest total? I don't even know. I'm trying to eyeball this real quick. The lowest total, I think, is in the Suns-Clippers game, down to 224 right now. 227 is like right in the middle. You took the under. Washington just scored 120. Yeah, I mean, Washington, that probably was a bit of an outlier because it was probably just, the game was over. It was probably a lot of garbage time scoring. I don't know. Dallas, they're probably going to play better defensively than they did in their previous game. Dallas, I'm not going to disagree with you on an under in that one. 79% of tickets are on the over, 76% of the cash on the over. So the public likes the over in this one. I don't know how many public players are even playing the total in this game. It went up from 227 to 228, a slight move upwards. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. The Mavs tend to play lower scoring defensive games, and the Mavs, they don't exactly have an offense either. Well, that's what you said. The Mavs are trying to figure out their offense. Yeah, the Wizards just don't really have an offense, although they're not a good defense either. The Mavs, yeah, their offense is in question right now because they don't have their ball distribution figured out because they don't have Kyrie. So they don't really have a legit point guard, which is pretty weird. The Mavs have good defenders though too. They have Anthony Davis and what are their names? Gafford and Washington. They're all good defenders. So, yeah, I mean, Mavs are definitely a good defensive team. All right, let's get to the plays here. Best bet segment, which I already threw out the graphic. First one up, we're going to go with my Boston Celtics plus 3.5. I know the line was 6 at some point. It's already down to 3.5. I don't think that was all just the market move, though. I think the line did shift because of Knick injuries. 58% of the tickets are on the Knicks. The public, they're off of the Celtics right now. I mean, they know the Celtics lost to the Knicks in the playoffs last year, which, of course, that's going to be part of my handicap here. They see that the Celtics are 0-1 here. They see that the Knicks beat the Cavs, so the public is only going to be on the Knicks here, pretty much. But 54% of the cash coming back in on the Celtics. I wouldn't count the Celtics out, man. I mean, the Celtics, they're still going to be so many teams make the playoffs. I think it is certainly possible the Celtics are still a playoff team this year. They're still probably in the upper half of the Eastern Conference. Celtics actually probably should have won this game. Like I said, I gave out the Sixers in this first game, but the Celtics had the lead the entire second half, basically. They were up double digits. They were still up 9 with 3:47 left, and they somehow imploded and blew this game. Celtics had that game. I wasn't necessarily right in that game. Celtics probably should have won the game. The Celtics, the three-point percentage was very, very low for what the Celtics usually do. The Celtics are trying to run this new type of offense, though, where they don't take as many threes, which I think is okay, but I don't like the fact that they're going up-tempo now, which I don't love the up-tempo style because you take, I don't want to say you're going to take lower percentage shots because the point is you get out in transition and you take more two-pointers that are actually higher percentage shots. But I still don't love it because you tire out when you play that fast pace. I liked the Celtics when they were that team that was going to grind you down and play the slow pace game. I just think they took too many threes before, but the Celtics only shot 25.6% from three. 25.6% from three in that game. So I expect them to shoot better from three. They are still a team that is good from three-point range. So even though they lost some of their players from last year, I think it's a bit of an outlier there. So misleading result for the Celtics there. And I pointed that out. Part of my handicap in that game was that I thought the Celtics might start looking ahead to this Knicks game and maybe overlook Philadelphia a little bit because that they have this Knicks game circled. Because the last time the Celtics played the Knicks, the Celtics were getting eliminated from the playoffs, and the Celtics were the favorite in that series. The Celtics blew 2 games at home where they were up 20-something points in those games. I think in both games, 1 and 2. I was at game 1 of that series. It was horrendous. And of course, then Jason Tatum got hurt, and the Knicks are the team that eliminated the Celtics. And when that's like still fresh in your mind too, I think it becomes an even more significant revenge spot. I talked about this last night with Indiana, because literally Indiana's previous game that they played, if you don't count preseason, was when they lost the finals. This is a similar spot here, man. The Celtics got eliminated by the Knicks last year, and they immediately get to play the Knicks again. Yeah, I think this is a spot where you want to take the points with the Celtics. I know we're getting a little bit less value on the line here. I don't know how long that 6 was even out there, because I think the books adjusted it because the Knicks have some injury issues here. Celtics actually are the team that kind of has, aside from Tatum, the Celtics have the less significant injuries. We already knew Tatum was going to be out for probably the entire season, so that's just a known factor already. So that didn't really have any impact on that line move, obviously. And the Celtics, they just know that already. So they've already come to terms with the fact they don't have Tatum anymore. But anyway, when you face the team that eliminated you from the playoffs last year, it's a huge motivator, man. Big time motivational spot. Celtics 0-1 right now. They're going to be motivated in this game. As far as the injuries, yeah, I mean, maybe it's something to look at. Like, maybe the line will go back up a little bit if it's announced that some of these guys are going to be in. We know that Mitchell Robinson is out for the Knicks, but Hart, Anunoby, and Towns are all questionable. And I think Hart did not play in the Knicks' first game, if I'm not mistaken. Right now, I don't know how many of these guys are going to be in or out. So that's the thing. Some moving parts here. Maybe the line will go up a little bit if they announce that some of these guys are going to play. But getting the Celtics as an underdog in this spot, I still think is decent. The odds makers are basically telling you that the Knicks are only slightly better than the Tatumless Celtics right now. But when the Celtics have Tatum, they're the better team, although, of course, they don't have him right now. But the Celtics, they have really dominated the Knicks recently, man. Other than the fact the Celtics lost that playoff series, coming into that playoff series, the Celtics had won like 9 of their last 10 against the Knicks. The Knicks have not been good against the Celtics, so we do have that bit of history, recent history there on the side of the Celtics. The Knicks, I think they also might be in a letdown spot, dude. This was the game that I think they wanted more than this Boston game, because they beat Boston in the playoffs last year. Boston is not what they were last year. I think the Knicks wanted this Cavs game, man, and that's what they got in the first game of the season. They beat the Cavs. Huge win for the Knicks here in this one. I think it could be a bit of a letdown spot, man. This is the Knicks' home opener, too. Just a monster game for them. Neither team actually shot particularly well in this game, so there wasn't really not much to see as far as like the game being an outlier or anything like that. The Knicks just played a really good game. So I think they're in a letdown spot. Plus, it's revenge on the side of the Celtics. The Celtics are a little bit better than people think they are right now. So take the points with the Celtics in that one. Put a little bit on the money line. I think the Celtics have a decent shot of winning that game. So we're going to go with that one. Reality check. You've been playing for 30 minutes. Yeah. I mean, they do all that. They want to make sure you're not a bot, basically. Next up, we're also going to play the Detroit Pistons plus the 6.5 here at Houston. Nobody's going to want anything to do with this one after what they saw in the first game, which is why I really like this one. I couldn't help myself, but I think all 4 plays I'm going to give out here are strong, dude. The Rockets are up from 5.5 to 6. I know this is the Rockets' home opener, and usually I'm not going to want to fade a team in their home opener, but in this case, I think we're going to make an exception. 76% of tickets on the Rockets, only 65% of the cash. They're a pretty significant favorite, so we don't even need the Pistons to win the game. We just need them to cover. And I am the Piston Whisperer, by the way, if you didn't know. 2 years ago, when the Pistons only won like 13 games or whatever, I think I gave out the Pistons like 8 or 9 times that year, and they won, I think, almost all of them outright. And it was out of the 13 wins that they had on the entire season, almost like the vast majority of them were plays that I gave out on the show. It was like every time I played the Pistons, it was the right spot, and they were hitting every single time. And last year, the Pistons, I think, did pretty well for me again last year. So I'm going to keep doing it, man. I love it. Pistons, I think they're a little bit undervalued right now, too, because of what did they do in their first game? They lost at Chicago. I know it's the second straight road game, so it's not going to be that easy, but that's kind of an ugly loss, dude. The Pistons were a road favorite in that game. People, I don't think, really have come around to how good the Pistons are. The public was on the Pistons in that first game because the Pistons looked pretty good in the playoffs last year. And now the Pistons lose one game, and all of a sudden the public doesn't want anything to do with them. Although, of course, part of it is that the public wants the Rockets. But the Detroit is not as bad as they looked in this game against the Bulls, dude. I mean, they had a really bad game. They got basically blown out by the Bulls. But the Pistons, they didn't go away. They came all the way back. So that shows you that this Piston team, they give you effort. So that's a good thing, especially that's what you want with an underdog here. Pistons, they didn't go away, man. They could have just packed it in and said, we're going to lose this game. We're down 20 plus in the second half. We're just going to pack it in. That's not what they did. They actually came all the way back, and I think they took the lead at one point late in the game, or they tied it at the very least late in the game. So the Pistons, they didn't go away. Yes, I know that means they put in a big effort to try to come back. But when you have a bad game like this as a favorite, I think you are going to show up in the next game, man. The main things to look at here, basically the three-point percentage. Detroit was only 29.2% from three. So that, to me, looks like a bit of an outlier. I think they're going to have a better shooting performance this time. So that's one thing to consider here. I know Houston plays pretty good defense, but I think it's a bad spot for Houston, dude. Houston, I know they're 0-1, but they played a double overtime game where they almost beat the returning champ Oklahoma City Thunder. That is a grueling game, man. I know they have 2 days off now or whatever between these two games. But even so, it was part of my handicap last night of fading the Thunder. Like when a team comes off a double overtime game like that, there's going to be fatigue, man, especially when one of your best players is ancient, like Kevin Durant, which is the case with the Rockets. The Rockets put up a huge fight in this game, man. I mean, Houston had a double-digit lead in the third quarter of this game. They thought they were going to win this game against the Thunder. They blew the lead late, and they wound up losing the game. Just absolute grueling game, man. So neither team shot well either. This is a crazy defensive game. The one maybe caveat here is that Houston was terrible in the turnover department, and you know they're going to clean that up. They had 25 turnovers. They were minus 13 in turnovers. I mean, if that hadn't been the case, they would have won this game. So, yeah, that's a bit of an outlier where, that part of it is going to, regress in favor of, or it's going to progress back to some sort of mean in favor of the Rockets. They're not going to turn it over 25 times again. And they did dominate the rebounds, but that's just expected. Houston has the tallest lineup in the NBA, so that's just kind of an expected result that they dominated the rebound portion of that game. But I still think this is a bad spot for Houston, man. I mean, coming off that grueling game, I don't know what else to say about it. I think it's a bounce-back spot for Detroit. I know Houston doesn't have anything up next with Brooklyn on the horizon. I know this is their home opener, but I think Detroit is very undervalued coming into this. In Houston, that Oklahoma City game was really the game that they wanted. This might be a game where they come out and they just don't have a full effort this time. So, yeah, we're going to go with the Pistons in this game, plus the points. That's play number 2, Toronto starting World Series day. Oh, yeah, that's right. I totally forgot. I'm going to handicap baseball on the fly. How could I forget this World Series action? I'm going to talk about the World Series after this. Usually I do baseball at the top of the show. I'm going to talk about it after this. It's going to be a long show today. Fucking Friday, man. Too much NBA. Yeah, it's on Drake's birthday, whatever. You're on the Clippers minus 3. What? Wait, what? The Clippers are they're like a 10-point favorite, I thought, right? Am I thinking of the wrong game? Yeah, they're a 10-point favorite. What are you talking about, Saab? I like the Trailblazers as well, which, I'm going to talk about that in a second. You haven't missed that one yet. Virginia Tech, I also agree with that one. So, I haven't talked about college football yet either. I don't know what you're talking about with the Clippers, though. But yes, I agree with the Trailblazers. Speaking of which, is that the last game I have to talk about? No, I have 2 games to talk about here. Holy shit, I have so many games to talk about. Next up, we're going to be on the Lakers plus 2.5 as well here. We're going to fade the T-Wolves. The T-Wolves are a 2.5-point favorite. You might actually get 3 on this. It looks like the line's creeping up a little bit. Public looks like they're on the T-Wolves. 67% of the tickets on them. 56% of the cash, though. So some of the money is disagreeing with the T-Wolves, and I am disagreeing with the T-Wolves as well here. First of all, this is one of the revenge spots that I keep talking about that you look for, man. This is a playoff revenge game. Because what did the Lakers do at the end of last year in the playoffs? Yeah, they got eliminated by the T-Wolves in the playoffs last year, and the Lakers were the favorite to win that series. So, yeah, I think the Lakers are going to remember that. They're going to be pissed about that. I think the Lakers are going to show up for this one. This is one of the games they have circled, man. I know the Lakers are coming off a difficult game against Golden State. They lost the game by double digits, though, and again, they're going to be supremely focused on this game, and they're still at home. Yes, they're still without LeBron. Here's LeBron here. I don't think it really matters. LeBron is old, dude. I mean, I know he still makes an impact, but the Lakers, they're pretty used to playing without him because he's so old. He's been in and out of the lineup for quite a bit now, so I'm not too worried about that. The line is taking that into account, obviously. He didn't play in that first game either, so yeah, whatever. The Lakers in this game, they did shoot well from the field, but they were really bad from three-point range, 25% from three. The rest of the stats are actually fairly close. So I think that was a bit of an outlier, too. I don't think you're going to see them shoot that poorly from beyond the arc again here. So that was part of the reason why they lost that game. And, yeah, they're staying at home, too, so no travel here. And, again, a game where I think they're going to be really, really focused on this. So I like L.A. for that reason, man. Minnesota, I mean, sure, they're going to want to come in and try to beat LA, but they're starting the season with 2 road games. Yeah, they did, I guess you could argue they escaped against Portland, who's not really that good of a team, but Minnesota, I mean, they actually overperformed in this game. Minnesota actually shot 50% from 3 in the game and 48.8% from the field, whereas Portland was really bad at shooting in this game. 40% from the field, 31% from 3, and that's going to factor into my Portland handicap as well. So there are some signs that that shooting is going to progress and regress back to some sort of mean here. So I think Minnesota's shooting was an outlier that I think is actually going to start regressing a little bit. So I actually think Portland really could have won this game. And Portland might be a little bit under the radar right now because they had some offseason moves. They're a little bit better than you think they are. I don't think this is an easy spot, man. Minnesota now has to travel down the coast. They got to go to L.A. L.A., no travel at all. I think the spot's bad. I think Minnesota could regress shooting-wise a little bit. Huge revenge spot for the Lakers. Yeah, take the Lakers plus the points in that one. First quarter. I get it. First quarter. I see what you're saying. First quarter, Clippers and Blazers. Okay, yeah, I mean, I get that. Although, yeah, Blazers, I mean, I thought you were just going to take money line full game on the Blazers because you could do that at like a little underdog price. Oh, yeah, LeBron. There was something going on with LeBron as far as the cheating as well, but they'll never do that to him. Right, Ohtani. Who cares about what Ohtani was doing, though? He was gambling, whatever. Clippers come out strong early. Yeah, they got embarrassed by Utah. I agree with that. You're right. The Suns had a 20-point comeback. I didn't mention that specifically, but yeah, you're correct. Saab, I agree with you on that one. I'm not really a quarters guy, so my opinion in that game was to lay the points of the Clippers in the full game in that one. So we're pretty much in alignment on that one, too. We're pretty much agreeing. Ohtani is a jerk-off, is he? I don't know. I mean, I only know that he had that gambling shit, and I just don't care about it. All right. The last game, that's right. We're going to be in alignment with Saab on this one, too. We're going to take the Portland Trailblazers +1. The money is agreeing with this one. The Warriors are just really, really public, and there's reverse line movement in this one, too. So Warriors are down from 2.5 to 1 here. 81% of the tickets on them, but 51% of the cash on the Blazers. So the money's coming in on the Blazers. I agree with it. It's a pros versus Joes scenario setting up in the market in this one with the Joes are all taking the Warriors because it's the fucking Warriors. It's Steph Curry, whatever, Jimmy Butler, etc. People basically can't even name a player on the Blazers. Blazers, they're an undervalued team, man. They're not that bad. They were fairly good at home last year, if I'm not mistaken. There were some spots where you could definitely get some value playing Portland last year. I think for now you can get value on them as well. Golden State's coming off 2 massive wins to start the season, dude. They beat LA on the road, the Lakers, even though it was without LeBron, and then they just beat Denver in overtime last night. And they're having to travel between every one of these games. So they're playing a third game in 4 days, all in different cities. This is a terrible spot for Golden State. They were down in LA. They came back to the Bay Area, beat Denver in OT last night. Again, huge win. And now they have to go up to Portland. team that you might just overlook completely. And they do have Memphis up next, and everybody knows Memphis, Morant. They're basically a playoff team every year at this point. So this looks like a spot where Golden State's just going to completely overlook Portland, in my opinion. And Portland 0-1, but they played pretty well against Minnesota. And as I showed you, they could have won that game. They just, and I know that was a big game, but they're staying at home, and you know this is going to be a big game too. Portland, they're going to show up when Golden State's coming into their house. The spot is way, way worse for Golden State. And Portland also did not play last night, so they have a day off too. So they have a rest edge here as well. And I showed you the outlier shooting percentages in that game, where Portland actually underperformed shooting wise in that game too. Portland, by the way, I mean, if you look at their roster, I mean, they have Drew Holiday because the Celtics traded him away. They got Klingon from UConn. He was one of their draft picks last year or whatever. People don't know who these guys are, but this is actually an under-the-radar lineup here. They're not a bad team. I think they're kind of like a mediocre team at this point, Portland is. So, yeah, we're gonna go. And the odds makers are telling you that too, right? With Golden State not being that much of a favorite. I mean, yeah, you got to look and make sure there's no, like, real injury situation here. Not really. I mean, Moody has been out for Golden State. He's still game-time decision. Portland is without Robert Williams III, but that's, like, always the case. Another former Celtic. I like Robert Williams. Big man. But we already know that he's out. And we already knew Damian Lillard was out for the season, too. So, I mean, that is what it is. But that was already taken into account, so I'm not worried about that. There are no new injuries for Portland that we have to be concerned about here. And again, for Minnesota and the Lakers, just looking at the injuries real quick, LeBron is still out. I mean, that's really the only thing that I think we're really looking at here. I mean, the rest of this doesn't really matter that much. So, again, yeah, we already knew that. And then, I didn't look at the NBA. You always have to look at, like, the injury spots, man, and, like, who's going to be rested and who isn't. I forgot to look at it for Detroit real quick, my other play here. For Detroit, I mean, Ivy is going to be out, but other than that, I mean, a couple of game-time decisions here. Van Vliet is still out for Houston, by the way, so he's like their main ball distributor. So that is a big injury, although they've been without him for a long time. And he's still not back, so that's not a huge factor as far as, like, right now. Like, between one game and the next, it's not really a huge factor because he's been out since last year at some point, so that's whatever for Houston. But they're still not as good without him. And, of course, Detroit will have their star player, Cade Cunningham, will be there for Detroit. So, all right. Those are all the plays. That's all the NBA. You like the full game on the Blazers as well. I agree with it, obviously. That was one of my plays. You want Miami. You want to play it after Morant is confirmed to be in the game. I actually disagree on Miami in that one. My opinion was to lay the points now with the Grizzlies in that one, and then if Morant plays, you'll get value on it. I actually think it's a little bit better of a spot for the Grizzlies. Jeffrey, thanks for hanging out, man. Those are all my plays. I don't have any plays in Major League Baseball or college football, but I have to talk about them. I completely forgot that baseball was even back, and I thought about it the other day and checked. Let's handicap it. We're going to handicap baseball on the fly right now, man. That's what we're going to do. We have LA at Toronto, of course. We know this. Let me see if it's possible that I do wind up with a play on this game, but let's check it out. LA is getting so much respect in the market that they're a favorite on the road, and they're a favorite to win the series, too. They're like they're over a -200 favorite, man. LA, and I do think they're going to win the series. LA looks like they're taking some of the money here, too. They're up from -140 to -150 on the money line. 74% of tickets, 79% of the cash. Total flip from 7.5 juice to the under to being juice to the over. So some of the money's coming in on the over. That I don't really see. 63% of tickets on the over, 69% of the cash on the over. Money coming in on the over. I don't really agree with the over, man. So I will point that out. I actually think, I think I'm going to be tempted to go with an under in this game, to be honest, because you have rested bullpens. I know the bullpens aren't good, though. So these bullpens are both mediocre/bad, but the starting pitching, I think, is a good matchup here. Blake Snell is pitching for the Dodgers. Good season for him, 2.35 ERA, 1.26 whip. I mean, he usually just has He has a whip that's a little bit high, usually because he just walks too many guys. But other than that, he's really good. Snell, though, he was worse on the road this year, 4.3 ERA on the road. So maybe a little bit of a concern that he's playing on the road here. And, of course, Toronto was a very good home team this year, 54-27. The Dodgers were 41-40 on the roads. They were still above 500 on the road, but Toronto good at home. Snell has pitched well in the playoffs so far. He has a .86 ERA and a 28-5 strikeout walk ratio in the playoffs and didn't allow any runs in his last 2 outings against Philly and Milwaukee, and he only allowed 2 hits over those last 14 innings. Snell has been completely dominating in the playoffs, and those last 2 games were on the road, so I don't think the fact that his road ERA was that bad is that much of a concern. Snell is also fresh because he's only thrown 61 in the 3rd innings this year because he was injured for most of the season. So he's not going to be worn out, and he's a veteran. So that all looks pretty good for Snell, man. So I think all of that kind of outweighs the fact that he's not as good on the road. He also is good against Toronto in his history, 66 at-bats, 18-9 strikeout walk ratio, 227 average allowed, 623 OPS. allowed. So he has been good against Toronto. Nate, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Muggsy, yeah, I'm short like Muggsy. I actually did a book report on Muggsy back in English in like 9th grade. 9th grade or 8th grade, I forget, one of those two. We had to read like a biography of any kind. I did Muggsy Bogues. And back then I was shorter than Muggsy, but now I'm taller than him. So I could play in the NBA, man. Trey Savage is pitching for the Blue Jays here. Young phenom Trey Savage. This season, 3.21 ERA, 1.43 whip is definitely too high, but it was such a small sample size, you can't really take that much away from it. He had a 0 ERA at home during the regular season. Playoffs have been a little bit more difficult for him, though. He had a great outing against the Yankees. Since then, he's been pretty mediocre, though. His 2 outings that he had against Seattle, he went a combined 9 2/3, allowed 10 hits, allowed 7 earned runs. That's not good. And had 6 walks and 11 strikeouts. So after that Yankee performance, Savage was not as good, man, against Seattle. Although, granted, Seattle, they hadn't seen him before the first time they faced him. So that's actually a bad sign for Savage, because when you have a young star player like this, the fact that they haven't been seen before by an opposing offense is usually an advantage to them. But Seattle was able to hit him well. You can give him a pass for the second outing, which wasn't as bad, and Seattle, having already seen him before, should have been less of an advantage to Savage in that next game, but I think he was just able to bounce back decently in that one, but still a little bit of a concern there, man, that maybe the pressure is kind of getting to him a little bit. Whatever the case may be, even though he was really good against the Yankees, you could argue that he was even in a letdown spot after that Yankee performance, though. That was such an emotional high with his parents there at the game. He set a Blue Jays playoff strikeout record in that game. So maybe you could argue he was in like a personal letdown spot against Seattle in that first game against Seattle, and then he pitched better at least in the other game. There are a lot of ways that you can take this, man. Does have a 4.2 ERA in the playoffs this year. And 22-7 strikeout walk ratio, so a high strikeout rate, but the walk rate's too high. What is he going to do against the Dodgers? I don't know, because the Dodgers, of course, they have never seen him before. So Savage should have a little bit of an edge against the Dodgers just because they haven't seen him before. But in this game, it's like, what do you trust more? Do you trust the unfamiliarity aspect of Savage, or do you trust the veteran that has pretty much good numbers everywhere you look, and Snell? I think you do have to trust Snell more. I think he's going to probably outlast Savage in this one. Again, Snell, I mean, he's more used to the grind and going deeper into games. I think that's basically where you get the edge with the Dodgers here, man. I think they do have the edge in the starting pitching, and then I think that could kind of get them into the bullpens, where Toronto might have to go to their bullpen first. And like I said, neither bullpen is very good. Toronto's bullpen has actually been quite bad in the playoffs. They have like a 5.5 ERA in the playoffs, something like that. I think the Dodgers' bullpen is actually better. The Dodgers, by the way, they have not lost in 9 innings in the playoffs this year. They have 1 loss in the playoffs, and it was an extra inning game. And they've won every other playoff game so far. So the Dodgers are dominating. So I do agree with the money in this one. I would lean to the Dodgers. Do I want to actually lay a price on the road like that in this game with this matchup? Not really. And I would have an opinion on the under in this game as well, actually. Maybe it would go first 5 innings on it just because I don't like the bullpens, and I kind of expect both starting pitchers to do okay because you have one who's just a really good pitcher and a veteran, and the other one who's a good pitcher and unfamiliar to the opposing offense. A little bit difficult to get there with it, though, because we are looking at 2 of the best offenses in baseball, too. Toronto's been like the best offense since the All-Star break, and the Dodgers were, I think, number 2 on the entire season to the Yankees, and Toronto was, I think, number 3 in baseball. So overall on the season offensively. So you do have 2 really good offenses here. I won't give out a play on that baseball game, but those are my opinions. I think the strongest way to play that is actually still the Dodgers, so I agree with the money on that one. And yeah, I mean, slight lean to under in the first 5 innings on that one, but that just seems dangerous to me. I don't want to do it. Dirty Sock, what's up, man? Thanks for coming back. Thanks for hanging out. College football, and then I will get out of here. We have 3 games. Really only one of them is interesting, which is the one that Saab has a play on, and I agree with him on it. The first game up, I mean, North Texas and Charlotte. North Texas is a fun team to watch because their offense is really, really good, although their defense is pretty bad. But can Charlotte really take advantage of that? I don't know. This Charlotte team is bad. And they seem to be getting like professional money constantly this year, and they just keep losing and not covering. So I haven't given out a play on Charlotte at all this year, but it's been bad. They did lose their quarterback, Harrell, early on after they lost him 3 weeks into the season, and he might actually be back. So that's something to watch, is that Harrell might be back. Connor Harrell, I don't know if he's not, I was going to say, is he Graham Harrell's brother? I don't think so, because Connor Harrell is a brother. So he's not related to Graham Harrell, who was the quarterback on Texas Tech back in the day. Charlotte, yeah, I mean, they just haven't been good, man. But they're going to be better if Harrell is back. So it makes this a little bit difficult to handicap. But they have really been bad recently. They're coming off another blowout loss to Temple. But they do get to host another kind of isolated primetime game here. Although the last time they did that Friday night game, they still got annihilated by South Florida. And this kind of looks like a similar game to that. But I mean, at least they'll probably show up and try to show up with some focus here because they get to host a primetime game. North Texas, I mean, they've been good. They're 6-1. They're in the mix trying to win the American Conference here, but they might overlook Charlotte, man. I mean, it looks like a sandwich spot to me. Both of these teams played on Saturday, by the way, so they're both on a short week, but even though North Texas is going to be on the road here, sometimes the better team does have an advantage here, but I think North Texas is in a sandwich spot, man. I mean, they had that big game that you get up for against South Florida. They got totally embarrassed by South Florida. They bounced back nicely, and they had a lot of anger, it looks like. I didn't think it was a good spot coming off of that. I thought it might hang them over a little bit, and the opposite happened. And North Texas absolutely destroyed UTSA last week. So they might be feeling pretty good about themselves after that. UTSA is actually not a bad team, and North Texas just woodshedded them, basically. Now they have this Charlotte team that nobody's going to give a shit about, and they do have Navy up next. That's a bigger game. Navy, I believe, is still undefeated. So, yeah, that's a big game coming up against Navy. It's a conference game. So I think North Texas might just try to get in and get out of this game and look right past Charlotte. I think it's a sandwich spot, so I would lean to taking the points with Charlotte in this one, but it's a high total, but you're getting a ton of points with Charlotte too. The line was at 27 at one point. Obviously, I would prefer 27 if I was going to take the points with them. It's down to 25.5. 60% of the tickets, 82% of the cash on North Texas. I don't agree with where the cash percentage is there right now. I agree with that initial drop in the line. I would take the points with Charlotte if I was going to play it, but Charlotte has just been severely underperforming just all year, man. I mean, they've been letting professional bettors down all year. Luckily, not me, because I haven't been involved, but slight opinion on that one to Charlotte. I do think it's a sandwich spot for North Texas at the very least, but this is a mismatch too. That's on ESPN2 at 7 p.m. That's why I don't parlay, sir. The Flyers lost the parlay. Yeah, because I went 3-0-1 yesterday, man. I had a monster day yesterday. It could have been 4-0, but that's why everything is a straight bet, because like everything went my way yesterday, except that one wound up being a push on the +1, make your own +1 puck line, basically, on that one. You could have thrown the puck line in the parlay, and then your parlay would have won, although you would have won a little bit less than if the money line had hit. But and it was because it was like it was a bit of a favorite price to play on the puck line. Although I thought the Flyers would win that game. I thought the money line was worth a shot there, but when you're playing hockey money line underdogs like that, you're not necessarily saying they're going to win the game. You're saying you think they have a better chance to win the game than what the odds are. You play them straight. All right, that's good. Hell yeah, a small amount ahead. You should have only straight bet it, man. Parlays are gay. They're gay bets. Cal at Virginia Tech at 7:30 p.m. This is our boy Saab's play here. I agree with him on this, and I'm pretty close to making this a play. I don't think I'm going to do it, but I agree with him on Virginia Tech in this one. This is on ESPN at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This is the only actual good game of these three. This is an ACC battle. And right away, people are going to look at this and say, Cal is 5-2, Virginia Tech's 2-5, yet Virginia Tech is a 6-point favorite. So what the hell? Like, what gives? Right now, we see 54% of the tickets on Virginia Tech. I don't know if that's even accurate, because I think if the public is going to want action in football, they're going to look towards this game tonight. And you got to think they're going to be taking the points with Cal. Like, how are you getting points with a 5-2 team against a 2-5 team, right? It looks way too easy to take the points with Cal. I think the actual money is on the Virginia Tech side. I agree with it. I agree with Saab on this one. Virginia Tech up from 5 to 6 here. I don't think it's going to get to 7, so I don't think you have to worry about that. If you're going to play Virginia Tech, you can lay 6, 6.5, whatever. That is what I would do in this game if I was going to play it. Close to doing so, especially because it's one of those ones that I like to see where the odds makers are telling you something completely different than what the records would indicate. As far as Cal is concerned, they're having to go to the East Coast, which is not easy. They did do it once this year, and they won at Boston College, and they were an underdog in that game, too. BC was a 5.5-point favorite there. I thought that it was a good spot for BC and a bad spot for Cal, and BC could have won that game. I don't think they were going to cover, but they could have won. BC had the lead late in the game. Cal somehow pulled that game out of their ass, but we see how bad BC is, dude. This BC team, they're just getting thrashed by everybody, so that win really does not look impressive anymore. Cal lost at home to Duke in a spot where at least Duke should have been in kind of a weird spot, having to go out to the Pacific Coast, and that didn't work out for Cal. Cal has not stepped up in class very well. Their best win is against Minnesota at home, and that was another one of those ones where you have a team that's not used to going out to the Pacific Coast. Minnesota going out there. Minnesota's not as good as their record looks, I wouldn't say. And then Cal last week, they beat North Carolina, and they only beat them by 3, so Cal didn't cover in that one. And we know North Carolina, they're bad. Cal could take that. I could see Cal taking that 2 ways, man. Cal could take that as, hey, that was an embarrassing performance. We should have won this game more easily. Or they could be hyped about it because they just beat Bill Belichick. So I don't know which way they're going to take it, but that North Carolina team is not good. Not an impressive performance from Cal. And sometimes when a team looks bad in a win like that, I want to be on that team. So that is actually one hesitation I have with Virginia Tech here. But Cal going out to the East Coast, not an easy spot to be in. Although it would be worse if they were doing it for a noontime game and have to play like really early on their biological clock. That would be worse because at least this is going to be like late afternoon biological clock wise. So that's not as bad for them. But a night game also means that the crowd is going to be really fired up for it. The crowd's going to be drunk. They get an ESPN game. The crowd's going to be there. So it's going to be more of a home field edge in that regard. And Cal does have 2 ranked opponents up next in Virginia and Louisville. Cal is still technically in the mix for the ACC right now with 1 ACC loss, but they haven't played any of the better teams in the ACC yet. So I don't know if that really means anything. And maybe they'll look ahead to those bigger games. The set's up better for Virginia Tech, though, man. And Virginia Tech has played a more difficult schedule. Look at this. They played South Carolina and Vandy to start the season, and they played pretty competitively against South Carolina. South Carolina had a late, fluke defensive touchdown or something, or return touchdown or something like that in that one. Virginia Tech probably should have covered that one. We know South Carolina's not as good as they were ranked, though, early in the season. But we know Vandy is really good. So the fact that Virginia Tech got smoked by them doesn't look that bad right now because Vandy's good. Virginia Tech, losing to Old Dominion doesn't look that bad either, although Old Dominion got stomped by James Madison last week. But Old Dominion's not a bad team either. That loss prompted Virginia Tech to fire their coach. They got a little spark. They got an ACC win in their first ACC game with their first ACC game at all, actually, and it was with the interim coach. They beat NC State on the road. They played decently after that against Wake Forest, and then on the road at Georgia Tech. They only lost those games by 7. I know Wake Forest isn't good, so still kind of an ugly loss there for Virginia Tech. Losing by only 15 on the road at Georgia Tech is not that bad, though. And then they went into a bye. So Virginia Tech has been off since the 11th, so I think that's good as well. So that means Virginia Tech, they went into a bye on a bad note. And I talk about this all the time. When a team goes into a bye on a bad note, that means they can use that bye to fix some things. So I think that's good. That means that they're going to be working out some things coming out of that bye. Cal will probably be a team they'll focus on because Cal's 5-1 or 5-2, whatever it is. And this game's a home game on ESPN. So I think the crowd's going to show up. I think Virginia Tech's going to show up for it. I think they're going to use that bye to their advantage. They do have big games for the remainder of the season, though. They have Louisville, Florida State, Miami, and Virginia. Very difficult slate to finish off the season. Virginia Tech, they're not going to make a bowl this year, man. I mean, they have to win 3 more games. I don't think that's going to happen, but who knows, man? So that might be another reason to kind of show up for this one, though, because it's the last remaining game that's winnable for them, the last remaining game that they're expected to actually win. So we will see. I mean, you could argue it's a little bit of a look-ahead spot, too. I don't think it really is, so I do lean to Virginia Tech. I can't quite get there with this one. I like college football this week, by the way. I'm going to be back tonight. I'll talk about that during my sign-off, I guess, because we do have one other game to talk about here. You've partied at Virginia Tech. Yeah, I think it's a huge party school. Some of these tech schools, even my tech school that I went to, which is a small school, it was way more of a party school than you would think. Yeah, the crowd is going to be wild. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I do lean to Virginia Tech in that one overall. I'm not going to make it a play, but I definitely agree with it. And then we have Boise at Nevada to finish this one off. Boise, 21.5-point favorite, and they're very public. 89% of the tickets, only 84% of the cash. So the money is kind of saying to fade Boise here, and I actually do agree with that sentiment. If I was going to play this game, I would take the points with Nevada here. I know Boise has looked good since well, they've looked good outside of their 2 losses, which were both on the road against South Florida and Notre Dame. Those are 2, I mean, I don't want to say they're 2 good teams. Notre Dame is a good team. South Florida, not really. That was just a weird spot, just a really bad mistake-riddled game for Boise State. Boise State, they can still get into the playoff, though. But they do have to run the table to do that. They got to win all their remaining Mountain West games, although that looks fairly likely now that they're going to run the table in the Mountain West because the Mountain West isn't that good. And they already beat UNLV, who was one of their main competitors in the Mountain West. And that's what Boise is coming off of now. They are going back out on the road here, where they've been worse on the road. They're only 1-2 on the road, and they barely covered the road game against Air Force. So Boise has been worse on the road. They got to go to Nevada here. They're coming off that UNLV win. That was a huge win for Boise. It was way higher scoring than I thought it would be. I thought that if the game was going to be higher scoring, I thought that would actually be an advantage to UNLV. But Boise still won and covered that game. Big win, man, because UNLV was undefeated. I kept talking about how UNLV I thought was overrated, too. Still a huge win for Boise because that's like one step closer to running the table in the Mountain West. But who's the other team that's really competitive in the Mountain West this year? Oh, yeah, that's Fresno. Well, and San Diego State. San Diego State's 3-0 in the conference. Fresno, I think, only has 1 loss on the season so far, and it is a conference loss. But those 2 games are up next for Boise after this one against Nevada. They got their 2 remaining biggest games are against Fresno and San Diego State, and those are their next 2 games. So this is a sandwich spot for Boise, man. And for Nevada, I mean, they're 1-6. They really don't have a whole lot to play for at this point. Highly unlikely they're going to make a bowl because they'd have to win every remaining game to make a bowl. This is a game I think they're going to get up for. It's on CBS Sports. It's an isolated Friday night game. They get to be on national TV, basically, 10 p.m. Eastern here for this one. Boise is coming to their place. If they're going to focus for a game, I think it's going to be this one, man. Nevada has also played 4 road games already, so they've been on the road a lot, so the schedule hasn't exactly been that easy for them. And 3 of those road games were against Penn State, Western Kentucky, and Fresno, and they played pretty competitively, actually, against Fresno. So, I mean, they've had some games where they haven't looked that bad, although they did lose at home to Middle Tennessee, which is really, really ugly. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're not a good team, but I do think this is a spot where they're at least going to give you effort in this game. And with a huge underdog like this, that is what you want. You just want a team to give you effort, and you want to be fading a favorite that you don't think is going to have full effort, and I think that is what you get here. So I do lean to taking the points with Nevada here. I know it is extremely ugly. Their only win was a 3-point win against an FCS team, Sacramento State. They're not a good team at all, but getting that many points, I think it is probably the right move in that game. And that is it. That is the rundown for today. Large board today. Crazy. Plays today one more time. They're all in the NBA. Boston plus 3.5. Detroit plus 6.5. Lakers plus 2.5. And Portland plus 1. Those are 4 NBA plays. That's the entire card today. Skipping the rest. All the rest of the sports are pussies today. If I was going to add another play, it would be laying the points with Virginia Tech, though. A couple of other leans that I gave out in the NBA are decent leans, I think, as well. I think the Brooklyn lean was actually pretty good in the NBA as well. Brooklyn plus the points. And what was the other one that I pointed out? Fading the Spurs. I think I kind of like that idea too. Pelicans. Oh, and the Kings fading the Jazz off of their upset win. Those 3, I think, are decent leans too. A lot of opinions in the NBA today, man. But hopefully I whittled it down to the best of the best. Hopefully we can get it done, man. Hopefully we get some money line underdog wins here because it's all underdogs today. I'll be back tonight for college football. I know I haven't had any college football plays in these midweek games. Virginia Tech, I think, is a pretty good look tonight, but there are at least 4 games on the Saturday slate that I really, really like. We have some major sandwich spots on the board tomorrow, so I'll be back tonight. I'm going to have at least 4 college football plays, possibly more. I haven't broken down the rest of the card yet, but there are like 4 that I think are almost definitively plays already, so we'll see. I mean, I usually don't have many more than that. I usually have between 4 and 6, usually exactly 4, but we'll see. Sometimes, like, the midweek game pushes me up to like 5 per week sometimes. Well, we'll see. But I'll be back midnight Eastern tonight to talk about that. Yeah, man, it's the weekend, so we get more, we get football shows. Football is in action, man. I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like and subscribe to the channel here. We're hot right now, man, so tell everybody. We've had, like, an amazing last, like, month plus right now. Like, everything's going really well for the most part, so hopefully it continues. NBA has been really, really good for me historically. We're already 2-0 in the NBA, so hopefully that continues as well. Yeah, and listen on audio as well. iTunes or Apple and Spotify, and give me reviews on there. That helps me out too. The numbers have been increasing on the audio, so that's good. Want to get some more numbers, man. I mean, I'm too long-winded, I think. Instagram is where my short-form videos are. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube, so check that out too. That's up to date right now as well with Charles's Monster Mash cover that I gave him. The NBA is the gayest. Nate, yeah, I mean, it's the most rigged for sure. I mean, we had the Tim Donaghy reffing scandal back in the day. I still haven't watched that, one of those Untold documentaries on Netflix. There's one about Donaghy. I still haven't watched that one yet. I've been meaning to do that. I remember it happening, though. And I remember 30 Rock, because his name is Tim Donaghy, and Alec Baldwin in 30 Rock is Jack Donaghy or whatever. And, like, I think at one point in the show, he said that his cousin was Tim Donaghy or whatever. Oh, man, like, they made that reference. I thought it was hilarious. 30 Rock, I mean, say what you will about, whatever, like all these leftists that are involved in it or whatever. 30 Rock, actually a hilarious show. I mean, there's no doubt about that. TV comedy was still pretty good back then. All right. Yeah, covered in uke, and then patreon.com/learnitode, and there's a uke feed there, which I think I'm about 3 or 4 covers behind on that one right now. I'll get it up to date, man. I got some of them uploaded yesterday. I know I'm slow, but I appreciate all the support, man. Patreon.com/learnitode for that. And if you're at the highest level like Charles, you get to request covers from me, and I'll try to do them. Monster Mash I was able to do. Sometimes I might have to say no, but I'll try. Anything that I might be able to do, I'm going to at least probably attempt it. That's going to do it. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Let's get some wins in the NBA here. Peace out for now, and come back tonight for college football, man. It'll be another 2 to 3 hours probably of college football. Hopefully I stay alive, but peace for now.